Hello, everybody. Mindful Me, live again on Sunday evening, the middle of June now. How amazing! The middle of June now. Going to have a very interesting evening tonight. We're going to be Kirsty, who's part of the Mindful Me team, to join and come into this conversation and be with us. And there she is. Hello, Kirsty.
Hello. Hi, Helen. Hi, everyone. Lovely to be here. Lovely to see everyone.
Lovely to see you too. So we did that quite well this time, didn't we? Because last time we tried 3 goes, didn't we, before we connected?
We really did, yes. But technology is becoming our friend, Helen.
Haven't we come a long way, you and I, in the last few weeks with this?
Yeah.
Isn't it an interesting thing when you think about what we've had to learn to do that we both of us never dreamed we actually would, when you think about it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
Hello,
I quite like this. Oh, hello, Kelly. How lovely to see you too. It's really nice that you've joined us. I'm thinking that before we talk with our lovely Mindful Me community as they join us, that you and I might have a conversation about you.
Oh, okay.
I hope you're up for that. What I think is, I guess that people who know us well in our community know that not only are we really beloved friends, but that we're actually colleagues in Mindful Me, and that you've been with our team for quite a long time now. And so most people will be used to you sitting alongside us wherever we are. Isn't that true?
It is, Helen. It really is. And we've had a lovely journey. It's been a few years now, hasn't it, that we've had the pleasure of knowing each other and growing together. And yeah, being with Mindful Me is an amazing time for me, and being with our community. So yes, definitely. It's been one of those treasured parts of my time here in Dubai, I think.
And that's saying something, because if I was to ask you the question everyone asks Dubai people, so how long have you been living in Dubai, Kirsty? What will you say?
Well, this is my 35th year. So I've been here a long time. I have probably seen many changes, many changes. I was schooled here. So I went to Jess and Dubai College. And yeah, this is really where I grew up, and being my home with my parents for all these years. So yes, long are the days gone where I used to play on the side of the Sheikh Zayed Road, when it was one lane going to Abu Dhabi and one lane coming, and I'd be riding my bike with my dog in a basket in the front up the side of the lane in the desert. Yes, it was quite a different experience to what it is now. Yeah.
Well, I love knowing that about you, because I'm aware often when we speak with people at Mindful Me, we often ask the question, can you tell us where you were raised? Not what is your cultural context or what is your background, but where were you raised? Because where you're raised says a great deal about you, doesn't it? And I love knowing that you're a Dubai girl through and through.
I am indeed. I mean, there's a very big part of me that's a Yorkshire lass at heart. So I'm originally from the UK, from Yorkshire. My mum's from Yorkshire. My dad is from Lincolnshire. So both beautiful parts of the countryside. So it's very much home still, but a big part of me has lived a great part of my life here. Yes, and I have very fond memories of Dubai. It has a very special place in my heart, definitely.
Well, so then if we can ask, I can ask you some questions so
Sure.
that people who might like to know a little bit more about you. One of the key things that you've just said that I know about you is this part of you being English. This makes, I think, the question, if I was to ask you what really makes you come alive, tell me what that would be.
Oh, I think you know me well, Helen. It would be spending time in nature for me, for sure, for sure. It's my place to, I feel most at home when I'm in nature and definitely here. So going to the desert or experiencing being out in the countryside here. But for me, definitely my soul sings when I'm in England in the countryside. So we're very fortunate to have beautiful countryside around us where we live. And my summers and other times of the year are spent walking, being in the countryside, visiting our lovely old English castles and just being outside. It really is the place for me. Yeah, I love it.
So this summer, it's not. This summer, it's here.
Yeah, yeah. The summer's going to be quite different for myself and the kids and for a lot of our community. And it feels strange. It feels really an interesting time. I noticed I was speaking to my daughter the other day and she said, "Oh, Mum, this is usually the time when we're getting the flights and getting the bags down and sorting out what we're taking and buying dates to take home for all the relatives." So yeah, it's quite a different time this year. Yeah.
But it is for me too, because this morning I was talking on Zoom to my grandchildren in New Zealand. And my granddaughter, who is 6, said, "You know, Grandma, you would be here now." I had a flight booked. I was going for a celebration, a graduation for my daughter at the end of her yoga teacher training, which was last Saturday. And of course, none of that took place and the flights were cancelled.
Yeah, it's been really tough, hasn't it, Helen? I mean, I know we've talked about this over the past few months that you had, you know, lots of different plans and I think holidays away with family. So it's been tough for all of us. Yeah. So we're here this.
Yeah, it's interesting watching it all. Well, so Kirsty, can I ask you another question about you? It's lovely.
Go on then, Helen.
Lovely to be able to turn the tables, you know, and turn the back the other way now and say, when I think about you, I think about the questions like what most feeds your soul? Who are you as a person and what most feeds your soul?
That's a lovely question, Helen. You didn't give me time to prepare. So in a mindful moment, as I sit here and arrive in myself, what feeds my soul? I love reading. So I'm a passionate reader. I think I share that with some of our community. So Miss Kelly Harvard out there, who's always good book recommendations there, Kelly. I love to read. I love to read books that support my mindfulness practice and my spiritual journey for myself. And I've noticed whatever I take in information-wise for myself is often I can relate and use with clients as well. So within our community and with our clients as well. So I love to read. I have just discovered Book Depository, which is a great tool that delivers books here right to the door. And it's, yes, the interesting thing about that I will share with you is if you order numerous books, they may deliver them one by one. So you have a few deliveries coming to the door.
Oh, what fun!
It is. It's lovely. Yes.
Well, see, book reading, I know that about you. I think that's lovely. So, can I ask you another interesting question? If you have, during these last few months, moments where you've felt really stretched and really overcome by things and burdened by the same levels of anxiety as those in our community share, tell me, what's your go-to for repairing that? What would you do?
Thank you, Helen. That's a really lovely question. I think so relevant for everyone. And I think I'd start that by saying, I have the sense that maybe a lot of people would say, "Oh, you're mindfulness teachers, you know, Helen, our community, you know, people on our team, we still get anxious. We still experience those feelings, and it's very normal to experience that." And I did very much so at the beginning of what happened with COVID. I found it a very challenging time. I have family here, so my parents, I'm very blessed that my parents live here with me. But of course, that brought an added sense of a little bit of fear was there, and I noticed that. And of course, all the change that happened and supporting family and community. So I think mostly for me in those times, it's really slowing down. I have a tendency to speed up and become the one who wants to fix. So I really need to be aware of my mindfulness practice in those times, really slow down, bring myself back. I would say spending quite a bit of time in solitude helps for me a lot. Making use of my breathing practices. So some of the ones we teach in the community and some of the ones that I've learned to practice over the years myself. And probably more than anything, spending time in my meditation chair. So whether it's actually in meditation or it's just a cozy place to be for me. And it's an opportunity to reflect and to come back to myself. When the sense of overwhelm comes, that's where I feel I would go. How about for you, Helen? What do you do in those times?
Well, it's interesting to hear you say that. Mine would be, much as you've said too, I loved hearing you say that we as teachers still experience moments of tension, and of course we do. I've long since discovered that connecting with myself, and I often teach that, hello, Helen, what is it that you're needing right now? And the answer is always calm yourself, slow right down, sit quietly, solitude for me, using the breathing, sitting on my meditation stool. When I can, it's to do with moving. So because I'm still all the time, it's been lovely to be able to go for walks. And when I can't, did you know that I put on lovely loud music and dance?
Well, interestingly enough, I did know that about you, but I was keeping it a secret, Helen. Today I felt like singing, so that's what we did. I sang. So today was a singing day, and I really enjoyed that. So I think it's being aware in that moment what would work for you. And we mostly have a sense of that, and I think developing that more over time with a mindfulness practice allows us to become more aware of that lovely question that you asked, what do I need right now? So it's been my experience. Sometimes it's a hot bath, sometimes it's a blanket. I need to walk it around, sing it, or be quiet. And I do find a lot of connection and peace and solitude. I love it.
Well, you know, when I think about what it is we're talking about right now, I recognize that we're talking about our understanding of mindful awareness, that we've noticed that we're actually feeling these feelings of anxiety, that we've noticed at that moment that something's not quite right and needs our attention. So we're talking about the ways that we recognize, aren't we, how to come to a place of what's happening with me. Whereas I know that a lot of people would mention that, for instance, when they get stressed, they immediately look out. They look to someone else to help them. They look for something to do. They become very busy, or they get caught up in food or shopping or some kind of drama. And both of us have said, no, we do the opposite. We notice, we settle down inside of ourselves, we listen to what our needs are, and we practice slowing down into stillness. Can you talk to me? And so that everyone else can hear you, what you mean when you're talking about stillness? How do you experience that?
So stillness for me was something I didn't know for a long time. I lived with anxiety for about a decade ago. I really struggled with anxiety and panic attacks, and feeling that struggle and being able to sit still was very challenging for me. And the sense that everything inside was very closed, and a sense that there wasn't enough space around me or within me more than anything. So I think being able to develop my mindfulness practice has really been a lifesaver, if for want of a better word, it really has. And I have the sense that once you find that place, and even in the beginning, it can be for a few seconds or a minute. You may not manage more than that, but in time, as it grows, it becomes the place of almost salvation for you, that you feel a sense that I can find that within myself. And for me personally on my journey, that was absolutely life-changing. I say that to people, and I used to hesitate when I said that, because it needed to be something like really big, but it was for me. It really was a moment that I could do this for myself. I can give this to myself. I don't need to go out, buy it, ask it of somebody else. But at the same time, I also have the sense that when people are starting off their journey, and very much so even now, Helen, and I think you'd agree that there are times when we need to connect. We need to connect with somebody else. Community is so important. So a lot of my readings and teachings that I follow and have an understanding of emphasizes community. And we see that so much in different cultures from around the world. Wherever we're from, a sense of community is so important. And I've noticed here a lot that there's many people live here without a sense of community. So they've left home, they've left loved ones to come and work here. And I think that's really one of the gifts that we can bring to people, is providing a community for Mindful Me, that people can gather and be together. So yes, that's been my experience of it.
Let's talk about that piece, because that for me has been one of the greatest treasures since Mindful Me began. I can't remember when first I had this thought, but it's been many years now, that when you book and pay for and attend a workshop and run it through to its end, that's as long as Mindful Me is around, and previously before that, whatever it was that I was involved in, anyone could come back and refresh the pack for practice without ever having to pay for it again. So to do this was our way of supporting people and providing community for people. And it's warmed my heart when I think about that. Actually is how you and I first got to know each other. Yes,
it was. All those years ago, it was, and I felt that importance of it. So anyone who knows me from our community, and I've said this many times, but for those of you who don't know, I did 4 weeks of mindfulness for 10 months in a row. It was my Monday night. It was where I went on a Monday, repeating the same workshop. It just had a sense of grounding me and being a support. And I'm so pleased to be on the other side now, being able to help people and to support people in that way and bring the same sense of community. It's so important when you're starting out a journey with mindfulness, or just wanting to have that extra support around you and knowing that you're not alone. Anxiety my experience of anxiety before was that it can be a very lonely place, that you feel very much you're the only one with this. You know, I remember walking around Spinneys, pushing my trolley, thinking, oh my goodness, everybody else is okay and I'm not. Like I'm some kind of, strange person. But it was such a relief to be able to say, oh yes, me too, and you too. Oh, and you experience anxiety too. So the very different ways that everyone experiences it, and just to be able to provide that place where people can be together without judgment. Well, what I love about what works in our community for all of us is that your willingness to speak about how difficult it was for you in the beginning has meant that many people can relate, because that's their experience. And we do have this experience of, oh, me too, that's how I felt. And you and I both know that every time we begin a new mindfulness workshop, we ask people just the simple question, can you tell us why it is that you've come to learn mindfulness? What is the key word that 18 out of 20 people would say? Yeah, usually a sense of feeling anxiety. Yeah, a little bit of anxiety. And again, it's whatever that looks like for you. For some people, it's, a high level of anxiety. For some people, it's just a feeling that something's not quite right. So yes, definitely, maybe a reduction in stress, looking at ways to manage a work-life balance. We hear quite a bit, don't we, Helen? It's interesting, isn't it, when you think about the gift that anxiety has brought for you? Because if you hadn't come looking for ways of soothing and learning how to work, you would never have come across what I think is one of your greatest crown jewels now, which is that of being a mindfulness teacher. Isn't that true? Yes, that's very true, Helen. And, I stop myself and kind of take that in every now and again. especially when working now with clients myself and supporting people around the community and talking about mindfulness with people. It's interesting to go back and remember where I was. And I think that's so important for me to do that, because if I can put myself there, I can remember and, you know, relate very well to people around me that are struggling. And there's a sense of, it opens me up to a greater sense of compassion, of course, for others. And it's a humbling thing to remember that that's where I was. And at times that's where I still find myself in moments, like at the beginning of this whole lockdown and when COVID first came out, there was that, oh gosh, that feeling of, oh, this feels a little bit familiar. I'm not quite sure I like this feeling, but I have a much better toolbox of ways to deal with it now. Yeah. And I think that is definitely, never imagined myself doing this and being a mindfulness teacher. And this is how, you know, where life has brought me. And it is such a blessing. It really is.
Well, you know, one of the things that I value the most in the community that we've created is because people come and join with us so regularly, it means that we are cultivating people who become teachers of others. And those, I can't begin now to count how many people have been part of the mindfulness community in Dubai who've gone on to become mindfulness teachers themselves. One of the things many people say to me as they're leaving, writing to tell you that I'm leaving Dubai, I'm going to begin my training now, either as a coach or as a counselor, or I'm going to study psychotherapy, but I'm going to train to be a mindfulness teacher because this has changed my life. And I've often said to people, when you leave Dubai, go and set up a Mindful Me community somewhere else. Call it whatever you need to in your country. And as you know, currently, we are talking with some of our people who are doing exactly that in other countries, which is a stupendous thing.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a really heartwarming thought to think. And the wonderful thing about Zoom is we connect with those people now, and we can still have contact with them and know their journey and know that they're taking a sense of mindfulness and mindful me across the globe, even as far as Brazil, which is wonderful.
Lovely right now, and I'm loving that too. So I think of how often we say the word mindfulness when we're talking. It's just in our vocabulary, it's our normal. And how many times people hear us speaking about what it brings us and then contact us and say, how can I learn it? What is it? What does it bring? What does it do? So can you talk with us now about your experience of being a mindfulness teacher, how you deliver mindfulness in ways that many of our community may not know? Like, for instance, I could say, how many people will you have taught some form of mindfulness to in the last 2 weeks? Would it be 10, 50, 100? See if you can put a number on it.
Yeah, not sure I can put a number on it, but it's definitely mid-20s. Yeah. I tend to talk about mindfulness with pretty much everybody. So there's usually an opportunity that arrives to be
and
able
then
to...
thinking about your teaching of it in the workplace.
Yes.
How then, if you add that in, how many people will you have spoken with about
Oh,
mindfulness?
well, okay. Then, yeah, it's actually, in the last 2 weeks, it's over 1,000 people, which is...
I know.
When you think about it.
I know. So say that again, just so that everyone understands.
Yeah, it's over 1,000 people, which is the great part of technology, that we can reach so many people now through different modalities. So yes, I did a really lovely piece of teaching mindfulness for a company that reached out and wanted support. And they said, oh, we've got about 800 employees who'll be joining. I have to tell you all that I was talking to a black screen. I couldn't see anybody. So it was quite a different way of teaching mindfulness. But yes, it made me extremely mindful to be mindful of talking to, yes, a blank screen when you actually knew there was about 800 or more plus people there. So it was quite a different experience. But that's one of the gifts. And I have the sense that there's always an opportunity to bring a sense of mindfulness. not maybe to speak about it in full terms, but even with anybody that I meet from a day to day, I will be able to just slip in or notice. And I think it's mindfulness brings us a sense of noticing. So even noticing if someone's struggling and maybe they don't have the words to be able to reach out, but there's an essence that we can bring a little bit of mindfulness to each and every day.
So if I was thinking of Kirsty, my friend, Kirsty, my colleague, Kirsty is a mindfulness teacher, I would think Kirsty and compassion, you named that yourself before, and Kirsty and loving kindness. These are the practices, am I right, that really warm your heart? Can you speak about that for a bit?
Yeah, they truly are, Helen. I like to teach my mindfulness practice from a place of compassion and kindness. I think it's something that very often is missing in the world, and especially probably now more than ever. It's what I believe people are looking for deep down in their heart. So I've chosen to teach that way more than a scientific base, but I do use science, of course. It's really good to back up parts of our mindfulness teachings with science. It's what resonates for some. But more than anything, I have a sense that for me personally, my journey will always be from the heart. So using a sense of heartfulness, compassion, kindness in the mindfulness journey. And I think that's what I needed most in the beginning of my journey, so it resonates with me. More than anything, I wanted to be able to give that to myself. And it was a part of me that was quite missing, and something that I hadn't been used to giving a sense of compassion or kindness to myself. So to be able to develop that and give it...
When I think about that, I think about that as the gift that you bring to our workshops. That it is the piece that many people, I think, would relate to you when the recognition that you'll at some stage say in whatever it is that we're doing, bringing us back to the heart of ourselves, remembering to practice that kindness, that self-awareness of loving self-compassion to ourselves, yes?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And it's interesting, over the past year, or I'd say the last 6 months, interestingly enough, Helen, it was you who gave me a book. You gave me a book recommendation before the lockdown, and I still have it. You can have it back later when we finally get to meet each other again. And it's written by a neuroscientist, and she studied neuroscience for over 20 years. But she wrote a lot about mindfulness and how she's also practiced mindfulness for many, many years. But there was a component missing for her. It was the sense of loving kindness and compassion. And when she brought that into her mindfulness practice, it really changed how her practice affected her and, you know, for those around her. When I read that book, it was almost as if my inside feeling was validated by somebody else who's now written a book about loving kindness and compassion, and how, for me, it's the cornerstone of it, really, to take the practice forward. I don't know, what do you think about it, Helen, in your experience?
I think that's mine too. It interests me that I have a sense of the gift that brought you into, excuse me, into these practices was the gift of anxiety. Right? The gift that brought me into these practices was the gift of losing deaths in my family, losing, first of all, my beloved mum and then my siblings. So I came into what I feel is searching for the love that I needed to replace. And I found it in meditation, and I found it in mindfulness. Excuse me. I found it not in connecting with all the science-based methods, but in the practice of coming home to my own heart. And I think that's what you and I really connect on, and what I believe we bring into the way that we teach. Our community does that.
Yes. Interestingly enough, I noticed there's a comment below from Serena. Serena, the book is called Good Morning, I Love You, and it's written by Shauna Shapiro. It's a lovely book. It's a lovely book, available on the Book Depository, not affiliated at all.
And I bought it from Amazon for myself to read, actually, because it's quite a new book. And you passed by and I said, I've bought this for you. And my copy of it never turned up.
Oh.
So I will enjoy when we finally ever do see each other again, which I'm sure we will.
I know. Hasn't it been so strange where we were saying, haven't we, that we're so used to, I practically live in your home, Helen, half of the week when we're doing workshops, and and we haven't seen each other either. So a lot of our community have asked when will we be, you know, coming back and being together again, and we haven't seen each other. So even our team has stayed social distancing and continue to at the moment. So yes, I will keep the book for you, Helen. You can have it.
Well, the interesting thing about social distancing is, whilst it's helpful for other people to be able to go out, because of my age, I still can't do the things that other people are doing. And so for now, we all continue this way. So that leads me to this next piece I'd love for you to be able to talk with us about. Because I've been doing these lives on Monday evenings, every Monday night, we're going to change it from now on. We're going to go back to using Sunday night as our mindful living workshop, which has been, I've often thought, the backbone. We teach mindfulness every single month, and we interlace that with 2 sessions a month of what we call mindful living. Would you please talk with us so that we can invite anyone who's watching and sharing this with us, this conversation? They don't understand what we mean when we talk about our mindful living session. Can you talk about that and be inviting of it for them?
Yes, thank you, Helen. So the mindful living sessions we've been running every Sunday, every alternate Sunday of the month, my apologies. It's a lovely community evening where you come. If we were in Helen's lovely home, you'd ring the doorbell, we'd answer. You get to make a cup of tea from the numerous different types of teas that we have, and get to sit around in a circle in the room and just to look at a topic that we pick and talk about it from a mindfulness perspective. So how we can bring mindfulness to that topic. I love those evenings. I miss them. But what I do know is, from doing a couple of sessions that we've done over the past few weeks, that we can bring the same essence of that into online. So make your cup of tea, come along and join us for the session. They're so fulfilling in a sense that mindfulness is not just about doing the workshop and getting breathing exercises. It's a lovely way of bringing mindfulness into lots of different topics that we'd see maybe on an everyday basis. Some of the things we've covered over the years, Helen, I mean, we sit together, don't we? Our teams sit together one day and we go through a list of new topics for the next 6 months. So we're usually 6 months in advance and we know what's coming up, and there's plenty of planning around it. But at the same time, now is so different. We notice that it's changing. Our world and our environment is changing from day to day, what is happening. So we're leaving it a little bit more flexible and seeing what feels relevant in that moment, which feels really an honest, good way of practicing mindfulness as well in that moment, doesn't it? I think it does. Yeah, it feels right.
We've made the decision that we're going to begin this coming Sunday night. So that's the 21st. So you'll meet with us on Zoom. So it'd be important that you get in touch with Alfie or Kirsty to make sure that you get the Zoom link sent to you ahead of time. And then we'll connect. It really doesn't matter how many of us there are, because we've been doing this over the last few months, and we have this realization that once we settle together, we teach each other by actually giving our own experience, or we learn through listening to other people's experience. So this topic that we've chosen for our beginning topic for this week is called How Are We All Doing? Which we will make larger and larger. So because we're aware, thank you for the question that you just asked, because we're aware that this is a really tough time for people right now, we say you join this on a sliding scale. So please could you pay us 50 dirhams? And if you are able to and you'd like to support other people who can't pay, well, pay us some more. And we'll put that towards encouraging and helping other people who find it impossible right now. So it's like you buy your cup of coffee plus one for another person. You buy your seat plus one for another if you're able. We'd love everyone to come. We're expecting that we'll begin at 7. And really, we just say, everyone, have got your cup of tea and your glass of water. Let's begin. Our topic for the night is, how are we all doing? And before we start, let's just be still for a couple of minutes. Breathe together, settle our energy, and then introduce yourself. Say, hello, I'm Helen, and I am so happy to be back here again, listening to people, connecting with those that we love, and really loving new people. Haven't we been delighted at how we've had new people?
Yes,
Where they've come from.
Yeah, it's amazing. This is the one thing, one of the things we love about social media. And, it's taken me a while, Helen, hasn't it, to get onto the social media platforms. And it's quite an unknown place for me. I'm quite, paddling in the water a little bit. But I notice, especially during this time, as we keep saying, over the last few months, it has been a lifeline for a lot of people. I have clients who are able to get in touch with me from Kuwait, from different countries, and be able to have that connection, which feels so important. Yes, it's not live, and we'd love you to be in the sitting room with us as we were before, but there's still a sense of community. And more than anything that I love about mindful living evenings, we learn from each other.
We do.
We have mindfulness teachers there. It's in Helen's home, or, one of us will be hosting. But we really do learn from each other and each other's experiences, and, the sharing of it and the common humanity of it. I come back to that, a sense of the common humanity and the compassion around it.
And the notion that each of us have a life experience and a unique experience and a unique sense of being that we need in order to learn how to be the whole.
Yes.
So although we grow our own relationship with ourselves, we actually only operate if we're part of a whole, the circle of us. So these circles are so important.
Yeah.
Did you see someone just ask the question, but will we still be having these live sessions? That I want to say back, well, how do you think we're going? Are you enjoying having this live session? I'm getting quite used to it. I do think that I'd like to have conversation like this with some of the others of our team as well. So I'm sure that will happen. And if you watch for it, we'll post it on social media. And did you know that we have now a Mindful Me YouTube channel? So if you missed anything or you want to watch it again, I'll repost this so that it will be there for however long it stays on YouTube. So we're not missing anything. Therefore, even if we don't do this live, we can actually make our own videos and post on subjects. So one of the other things that I'm really aware of is how people ask us often, can we talk about this? Could we talk about that? And that's what mindful living is about. From now on, we're going to ask at the end of each session, now that we've all been together, what is it that we as a group believe we should tackle in 2 weeks' time? And we'll choose that together. What do you think about that as an idea?
Yeah, I love that, Helen. And it's interesting, and it's been interesting the last couple of years, and looking at the end of a workshop or during a workshop. So whether it's been mindful living or conscious relationships or any of the other workshops that we do, somebody will sometimes just say, oh, I wonder, this has really touched me. I wonder if you could put that into a workshop. And we do, and we can use it as a mindful living topic. And we really invite people, if there's something that sits close to your heart or something on your mind that feels that we could expand on into a little workshop for mindful living, please send it to us. You can send it to info@mindfulme.me. I will see it, or Alfie will see it, or you can send it direct to me on my email, which is kirsty@mindfulme.me. I'll type it in the description later on. Please do that. We love that. We love to hear from the community. It can be anything. Please feel free.
What I've noticed is how many people have rewatched things. So
Yeah.
I was having a look to see what people mostly were wanting to look at. And I promise you, it's the topics about meditation. Which, if you were to ask me the question, what really warms your heart, Helen, what would my answer be, Kirsty?
Teaching meditation, for sure. I think it was last year that we did the meditation. We don't do it every month, so it's less frequent. When we have a group together, we will do the meditation workshops. And I was sitting right at the back of the room, and you started to teach, and you did a little bit of an introduction. And I don't think I'll ever forget, Helen, watching you do that. In fact, I can close my eyes now and see you do it. And how you spoke about meditation is so precious for you. Oh, it moved me. I remember, I think I did an Instagram post about it, that it really is the light. You shine when you teach meditation. You can see it. You can see it in you. So yes, I'm very familiar that it's your place of warmth and close to your heart.
If there is one thing that I would love everybody else in the world, everyone in the world to know, to do, to be familiar with and hold as precious, it would be the gift of meditation. So we often teach how learn the mindfulness practices, learn how to be part of a mindful community, and learn how to bring mindfulness into your life. And then come on in and learn how to deepen the practice into a deeper meditation practice. Meditation for me is the mainstay of my life and has saved my life, I think. So yes, it is. It's the most precious thing that I've ever been given. That's what I would like to say. Now, if I was to ask you the same question, what is it that you would love for everybody in the world to have access to if they were able? What would it be? What would you say?
I have a sense that knowing a deeper part of themselves, that can separate themselves from their thinking and their thoughts, and that there's so much more to us as humans than what goes on in our head, and the ability to be able to drop down and access what lies much deeper within us. I wish that on everybody, more than anything, I think, just to know a greater part of themselves. How about for you, Helen? How would you answer that question?
I think that you've just said it, don't you? That to me is the basis of why we are mindfulness teachers. That we're teaching people how to find all the missing pieces of themselves and to fall in love with it. That's, to me, is what it feels like. So there's no way that we can separate the practice of mindfulness from the practice of deep self-compassion, deep self-knowing. But you know, as I've been speaking about in these last few weeks when we've been doing these live sessions, how do I fall in love with my own heart? How can I come home to myself and feel safe here? For most people, it's high levels of anxiety or worry or fear that separate themselves from their own innate beauty, isn't it?
Yeah.
And for me, the practice of mindfulness and the deeper practices of meditation that come with it give us that ability to slow down, to find that place inside of ourselves, and to eventually welcome all of the shadow pieces of ourselves, all of the little children inside us that have strayed, all of the times that we've been hurt. That's what you just described.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a sense to add to that there's nothing wrong here. I often have clients come and they sit down, and the first thing they'll say is, there's something wrong with me. I need to change this. This is bad. I need to change. I can't be like this. And I want so deeply for people to know there's nothing wrong here. No matter what is here right now for you, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing that needs fixing. There's just a greater understanding of who we are. And that, I think that for me has been the greatest gift of mindfulness and continues to be. It's a journey. I don't have a sense, and you know, you've been in this longer than me, Helen, so correct me if you think I'm wrong, but the journey never ends. The journey never ends.
Well, I tell you what, life is never dull, that's for sure. And just when you might think you've come into a place of safety, and as I've been saying, a place of complacency even, where everything is familiar, and I feel as though life is in my control, all of a sudden there's a pandemic that takes you completely off stride and opens the door again. What an absolute blessing it has been to be a community of people who, with open hearts, offer safe places to others. Don't you think that's the hallmark of what we've been doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
That safety.
Yeah, absolutely. For us, and many people in our community have really shone over this time and come out in ways that it's just heartwarming to see how that's happened here. But of course, we're more familiar here, maybe in the UAE, but also outside. And it's what I choose to focus on. Is there's so much going on and so much challenge and difficulty that I do choose to focus on. There's so much good, and there's so many people putting themselves out there and really helping bring a community back together.
Yeah.
That's really important.
I know that's been my experience too. So with that, to finish off now in the last 5 or 10 minutes of our conversation, we're aware of the needs of our community and how things are changing all of the time. So we're aware how we need to open and offer different maybe workshops or different experiences for people. I'm aware and so grateful for the numbers of people who write to me after we finish doing live sessions and tell me that it's the thing they look forward to, of that their hearts are warmed by the experience of pretending that we're all together. So I thought in the beginning that I was speaking with 25 or so people. I wasn't thinking there'd be more than that, just our precious small group of people who might be able to be available to, and discovered it turned into be hundreds and hundreds, and I was blown away by that. So I'm aware that this serves a need. So when someone asks, will we continue to do these kinds of conversations, we surely will. While we have the opportunity to, the time might change, the evening might change, but we surely will. And as well as that, we're going to be offering some new workshops, some that we haven't done. And some of our other colleagues from the Mindful Me team will be taking part in doing that too. So please watch this space, because I'm really happy about some of the ones that are coming up, and delighted actually to have the availability to offer them. And we'll certainly give you plenty of notice. If you watch the Instagram account or our Facebook, or most of you will be receiving our newsletters. And if you don't already, just go on our website and click to be doing that, and you can. So, and there are changes. I'm sure that we talk about Alfie all the time. We love him dearly. He's usually alongside of us doing all our things. And he's been away because he and his wife have got a beautiful new baby boy. He's done his maternity leave and he's back, and very happy to have welcome people, to make appointments, to speak with us. All of us on the team see people. So that's been a lovely joy for us. And the other pronouncement we've been making is that our lovely Jo, who teaches all of the mindful parenting workshops, is leaving Dubai after, would she say 13 years here, Kirsty, is that right?
Yeah, I believe so, Helen, yes.
And retaining her place in our Mindful Me community and as a team member. So she will continue with her wonderful mindful parenting workshops and still seeing people, because nobody knows, do we, where we are in the world when we are speaking on here. And isn't that the most amazing thing? So we're thrilled to bits that, though that's a change, actually nothing will really alter. Isn't that amazing for us? Feel blessed to have her.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it's a blessing to have Jo, and of course tinged with sadness that she'll be leaving us physically to go back to the UK, but so grateful that her workshops will be still available to everyone. I've particularly done her workshops. I have two older children, so my children are 17 and 20, and I still got great information out of the workshops without falling into the thought of, oh my God, I wish I could do this all over again.
Yeah.
The parenting part, it was wonderful. So I'm so pleased that she'll continue to do the workshops. They've been a benefit for so many people.
Yes, and so many people have been effusive in their praise and goodbyes to her as well.
Yes.
So it's wonderful to think we goodbye her to another country, but she actually stays on the team alongside of us. And because this is how we speak to each other these days, all of it's going to be possible. Isn't that amazing? So there's lots for us to look forward to.
Yeah.
So tell me, have you enjoyed doing this?
I have, in a sense, yes, I have, Helen. I'll be watching it back later without any judgment. It's been really, it's been really interesting to do this kind of thing. I had no idea. If you'd have asked me 5 years ago, would I be doing this? I would have said absolutely not. But you have a way of convincing, Helen, I have to say.
Did I give you a choice?
Ah.
Was I loving and kind about it?
You were, as always, you were loving and kind about it, and I'm thrilled to be here and connecting with the community. Of course, yeah, it's been lovely, definitely.
So yes, and I want for our community to know that both of us doing this together and running our workshops together, they need to know how important you are in the community as far as Mindful Me, with all the work that you do out there. Because a lot of the work you do isn't in the natural gaze of the people who are sitting in the workshops.
Yeah,
Often
that's
say, oh, what are you doing right now?
Yeah. So I do a lot of corporate mindfulness. So taking mindfulness into the workplace is one of the things that I really enjoy doing. So yes, I'm often busy, used to be going off into offices, now doing things through Zoom, but still in touch with corporate through Zoom, connecting in that way. So it has, of course, been a blessing to be able to do that. Yeah, definitely.
Well, it's been a blessing to be able to see you and have a conversation with you like this. I cannot wait to actually see you again, to hug you.
Me too.
I cannot wait. Yeah. I'm sure it will happen.
Yes, it will. It will.
But for now, I'll see you tomorrow night while we co-teach our current mindfulness workshop. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which will be lovely.
Yes. Thank you, Helen. It's been really nice.
Thank you for coming to join with us tonight. Is there anything else you want to say as you're leaving?
No, just love to our community. Please stay safe and well, and yeah, be in touch if we can support you in any way. Please get in touch. We're just an email away. Alfie's there. I'm there. We know Helen is often quite busy during the day, but we find times to be able to check in with everyone. So please feel free. I think more than anything, of course, my heart wants to say nobody's ever alone. So that's what mindfulness.
Oh, well, lots of love to everybody. Thank you for the thank yous and for the hearts to us and for the hellos to us.
Yeah,
lovely.
Lots of love, everyone.
Lots of love, Kirsty. See you soon.
Take care.
See you at Mindful Living with all the people who are going to come and do that with us on Sunday.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that very much. Take care, everyone.
Take care, everybody. See you. Bye.
Bye.